I saw a lot of searches looking for Google Ads tutorial, and I also got a few comments asking me to explain how exactly you set up a Google Ads campaign. I was also asked about Google Shopping Ads, and that is gonna come in a future episode. If you don't wanna miss it, subscribe to this channel, just hit the subscribe button below this video. So what we are gonna dive into today is exactly the way to set up a Google Ads campaign. And as you know, I will take the example of a Google Search Ads campaign because I think it's the most complex in my opinion, and we already discussed about the Google Ads campaigns. So first of all, you need to get into the Google Ads account you are managing and hit the plus button, because here you can add a new campaign. You can select then the step to add a new campaign, or of course you can resume from a campaign draft, and I don't want to forget to tell you this, you can load the campaign settings, or by the way, you can copy and duplicate an ad that you have already set, and this is very useful. Google copied this from Facebook ads, of course, and it's very useful when you want to set up two very similar campaigns and you don't want to go through all this process all over again. So we said that we want to create a new campaign. What Google asks us, exactly as Facebook does, is what is our campaign objective. It's always sales or leads, I know that, but even if that's the objective, we need to also remember what we've been discussing in several episodes ago, that you always need to take things step by step, but I won't dive into this now. Let's say our objective is to drive website traffic, and we're gonna do this through a Google Search Ads campaign. We're gonna select search. What is next? We are asked if we want to select the business website we are promoting. We can simply copy paste here our website URL, and if we do this, we will further get some search keyword suggestions. So that's the only reason why you should copy a website here. So for example, if I want to promote the asos.com online shop, let's say, I can just paste the URL here. I hit continue. He's gonna ask us if we are finishing a saved draft or creating a new campaign. That's only if we already have a saved draft in our account. We said we want to create a new campaign. We want to start from zero, start from scratch. We need to name our campaign. Let's say here, my first campaign. It doesn't really matter how you name it, but this is useful for you to organize your campaigns. If you leave here include Google search partners, your search ad is gonna appear also on YouTube. For example, on YouTube, if you do a search, let's say we are looking for the new iPhone 13, for example, you get a lot of search results, but maybe you notice that sometimes before the YouTube search results, you also get some ads. Some of them are shopping ads, some of them could be search ads also. And if you select here, you leave the selection of include Google search partners, your ad is gonna appear there in the search results too. If you only wanna focus on Google search, you just deselect it. If you don't want your ad to also go to the display network and to go into contextual advertising and banners that look like search ads, you also need to deselect Google Display Network. I'm not against this one check, but usually when you're doing search campaigns, if you want them optimized and with the best results, it's better to just deselect it. You have here this show more settings where you can use you can select the start date or the end date of the campaign. You can, for example, select your campaign to start somewhere in the future, or also you can just select an end date if you don't want to have to worry about just pausing the campaign. Another interesting thing here, if you want to do a DSA, a dynamic search ad campaign, here is the setting where you can select that you actually don't want a customized search ad, you want a dynamic search ad. But let's say we are not doing this now. If you want to use some ad scheduling options, and for example you want your search ads only to appear in the morning with the morning coffee, or if you only want them to appear on certain days, you can do this customization here. If you want to select users from a certain location, this is where you can do the location selection. You can, for example, choose a country, or you can choose a city. Let's say I'm in Bucharest right now, by the way, and I can target only Bucharest. I can even target a certain area in my city, or maybe around the street. You can't go too granular because of privacy settings, but still you can go more granular, let's say, than just the city. You can even, for example, target a country and exclude certain cities, or maybe target a city and exclude certain areas. You also have this check here location options, where it is usually best to understand that if you want people who are in that particular location, you need to choose here presence, because otherwise you will also target people who are just interested in that location, for example, people traveling and so on and so forth. You can choose here the language your customer speaks. As you will see here in the help, this can restrict the targeting to people who have selected in their browser a certain language setting. You can simply leave here all languages if this is not important for you. You can also, if for example you want to do a remarketing list for search ads, you can, for example, choose from here from audiences a remarketing audience, and then your search campaign will only appear in searches that the visitors of your website have done. Or you can simply intersect your Google search campaign with certain audience possibilities, but we will talk about this in a further episode. You can choose here the budget. The default option is to choose a daily budget. Let's say we are very cheap, feeling cheap today, and we only select 10 as a budget, as a daily budget. And here you need to select the bidding strategy. Don't miss our episode where I'm explaining the bidding strategies in order to make sure you're doing the best selection for you. Again, we have here show more conversions. Here, if you don't do any change to the conversion tab, what will happen is that Google Ads will optimize and will apply the bidding strategy to all the conversions selected in your account. If there are several conversions you are tracking, maybe it's better to just select here the conversion you want to optimize for. For example, if you want to optimize for people to purchase on your website, you can select that here, and that's the conversion that the bidding strategy will apply to further on. Here below you can select the site links. You can select from site link extensions, call out extensions, call extensions, image extensions, which are very new and sexy and really get a very good CTR, and you should definitely use them. Or here, if you click plus, you get even more options of extensions. As I always say, it's best to use as many extensions as possible in order to increase your click-through rate. If we click here on any type of extensions, we can choose from the extensions already existing in our account, or simply update our ad with a new extension we can build here. No matter what we choose, don't forget that we are just at the first step of our Google Search Ads campaign. Actually, the Google Search Ads campaign have 3 steps. You can see them here in the upper side. We are at the first step where we choose the campaign settings. We are now moving on to the next step where we set up the ad groups. What it means to set up the ad groups is that here for a search ad is the part where we select the keywords that we are bidding on. If at the first step, at step 0, let's call it, you inserted the website URL, then it's perfect, you will already get some suggestions. Here you need to remember that if you leave the keywords as they are with no punctuation, you will actually be bidding on the all the keyword family. It will be a broad match. If you want to use phrase match or exact match, this is the place to be using it. For example, I'm doing an exact match on online clothing stores. You just select here the keywords and move on to the next step, where it's the last step and it's actually the most intuitive one, where you get to simply customize your ad, to personalize it. As you already know, Google is moving on to responsive search ads. If you insist, you still can do those expanded text ads for a few months, I think, but Google will drop them eventually, so it's better to get used to responsive search ads. As you know, responsive search ads have the possibility to insert up to 15 headlines of up to 30 characters each, for up to 4 descriptions of up to 90 characters each, and you can also select for the URL a final URL, which is actually the landing page you are taking the user to, and the display path, which is exactly the URL you will see here in your ad. Don't forget that here above, actually, don't forget first that here on the right, exactly as in Facebook, you can see the preview. You will see here the preview of your ad on mobile by default, and if you click on the right arrow, you will see how your ad will look like on a desktop interface. And above it, you have here the ad strength indicator. The more headlines you add, the more you include popular and different keywords in your headlines, the more you make your headlines unique, you will get a higher ad strength. Why is it important? Because the better your ad strength, the better your impression share. Google will simply show your ad more if you had a good ad strength. Don't forget here that Google is also helping you get great quality scores, and you remember how important quality scores are, because the higher your quality score, the lower your CPC, so the lower the costs that you pay for a user or for a buyer. Here, Google is showing you the keywords that you've been bidding on in the previous step, and he's adding the green color per keyword whenever you have added that keyword in a headline. For example, if here I write fashion dresses, you will see that fashion dresses above will turn green. Yeah, it has turned green. So yeah, take care and use as many headlines as you get. I know we advertisers were complaining before that we had too few characters for Google search ads. That was 10 years ago, but fortunately and unfortunately also, now we need to work a lot, because we have the possibility to insert up to 15 headlines of 30 characters. So that's like what? 450 characters in total, and also 360 for descriptions, so more than 800 characters for an ad. But also our ad will be responsive, it will be tailored to our users, and it will get a higher CTR and a higher conversion rate. So yeah, write a novel there, just do it, because that's gonna give you results.